So the next thing we're talking about is NBA start date. So Soapy and I talked about this one of the days you weren't on, Dave, because at the time it was like, oh, the NBA is thinking about starting on Christmas. So we talked about could an NBA Christmas start time be good? Well, now we've had some developments where the latest article to come out today from ESPN says player reps expected to approve December 22nd start to NBA season. The NBA Board of Governors and Players Association will hold a separate meeting on Thursday, expected to culminate in an agreement on starting the 2020-2021 season on December 22nd and playing a reduced 72-game schedule, sources told ESPN. The National Basketball Association is planning to take a formal vote of team player representatives late Thursday, and sources told ESPN that everything is progressing towards an agreement on a pre-Christmas start to the season. The NBPA is holding team conference calls this week, including several on Wednesday, that detail discussions with the league on a salary escrow for players in the range of about 18% for the next 2 years, sources told ESPN. This has also come with like articles early in the week, like Adam Silver boosts the urgency on a pre-Christmas start. We've also had the talk of Danny Green on a podcast. He was on the Ringers NBA show podcast. And this is what he said. If we start in December, I think most guys are like, I'm not going to be there. If I had to guess, maybe we have a lot of the vets on our team. It's not like we have a lot of young guys or rookies to have that quick of a restart. I wouldn't expect to see LeBron there. I wouldn't expect to see him probably for the first month of the season. He'll probably be working out with us, but I just don't expect guys to want to be there or show up willingly. I think at this moment, and it might be different in 2 weeks when guys are like, all right, I'm going to be back in the gym, start working out. When we get back in the gym, it's not right. It's not right to basketball. It's all right. Let me start getting into shape, lifting a little bit and running around a little bit, and then I pick up a ball. Dave, I get the league wants to start on the 22nd because they're going to lose money this year because it's not going to be a regular year. They've probably looking at it with the last year with how much money was affected with last year. Is a pre-Christmas start ideal for the season, or should they look at it and go, we're probably going to have a better product if we wait a month, start what the proposed was like January 18th, start then and have guys go from the 18th all the way through a 72-game season? What's your thought?
From the proposals I saw, it looked like they would be forced into a whole lot of back-to-backs if they went with that later start date. So I think that it would be a win to get them back before Christmas. Like that's a better bet for players and for teams and for the NBA as a whole. Because I think it was 24 back-to-backs would have been scheduled if they do the later start date, which stars aren't playing in back-to-backs already. So
and is that because they want the season to end in July to restart it, or end in June?
The season would end in August. From the later start date, the two write-ups I had seen was the later start date would mean that we're going to finish the season in August, and the December one was going to finish in July. So if you do that, like it was 13 back-to-backs versus 24 proposed back-to-backs. Obviously, that's a big number. That's a lot of games that stars wouldn't play in already. So like I am all for hey. Even if it's like light minutes LeBron for the first couple games, not worried about it. You take your time, man. Like you want to play 10 minutes, you want to play a quarter, you feel good about it, great. Although in my mind, LeBron James is a competitor.
Yeah.
That's all he's ever been in his career. He's never been the guy who's going to shy away. So I think it's a situation where he's going to play. I think a lot of those mid-tier guys might opt out though. I shouldn't say mid-tier. I should say a lot of the guys who might be veterans in this league, but not on a big deal, might opt out of the season. I think that's not a lock that everybody's going to be happy to play right away without any changes to COVID and our solution or vaccine.
Because we would have to, it would be a bubble? Do they know that even, or just a regular?
It would not be a bubble. It would be like a regional thing they were talking about, though, as far as scheduling. So, like I think you had mentioned before, if they go to New York, they're going to play the Knicks, they're going to play the Nets kind of thing. If they have games against them, they're going to play their series there.
Okay.
Instead of going a back forth kind of deal.
Yeah.
If you're coming here, you're here for a couple games.
Yeah.
So that would help limit exposure. That would help with travel limitations. Like, it's a win-win.
Basically, it's like, for example, the Warriors. All right, you're in the upper northwest or upper northeast. You're playing the Knicks. You're playing the Nets. You're playing Boston. You're playing Washington. You're just going to do that round.
Right, but it might be like Knicks, Boston, Boston, Nets, Wizard. Like, it could be where they're going to double up there. So that's the whole thing is, hey, we're going to just back-to-back these teams. It's not back-to-back days, but like, hey, you're going to play this team twice, maybe in 3 days, 4 days. Like, that's seemingly what they were planning for. Again, none of this is locked. This is all proposals. So things change very quickly.
And I mean, the vote, like if they're voting tomorrow, like we'll know for sure answer. It's just for me, the thing that I think of, and of course I am not thinking of a businessman, and that's part of it where it's a business. You got to think about the money. The NBA doesn't want to lose money. By starting in December, you make sure you lose less money. But for me, because I'm a fan, I think of it as a product on the court. And if most of these vets, aka like Danny Green said, most of the Lakers, like that entire team almost, if they're not going to want to play the first month from December 22nd to like the end of January, are those games going to be like, I know the people like you, Dave, who are basketball junkies will watch to watch, but I'm saying like the casuals, the maybe ones that fall in between casual and basketball junkie, will they look at it and go, you know what? I've got other shit I could watch. LeBron's not playing. The top tier guys aren't playing. Fuck it. I ain't going to watch this game. I don't want to watch the backups play each other, basically. Like, could they be in that situation? You say it's like some would say, oh, it's only a month, but it's like you're starting off your season then with like a kind of attitude from the non-hardcore NBA fans.
I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to call Danny Green a liar. This is a bluff. This is a calculated bluff by the Players Association to not have to deal with this. They want their timeline, and the NBA wants their timeline. They're obviously at different points with what their expectations are. I don't think that LeBron will want to go out there for the ring ceremony and not play. Yeah. I can't imagine that. I'm sorry. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. If LeBron is healthy, he's playing basketball. Anthony Davis is healthy. He might play basketball. He's the one who I have a question about, not LeBron James. I never question LeBron's work ethic.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis, I'm absolutely going to question his work ethic. He sat on his ass for a year, got paid because he didn't like his team. Like that's who he is.
The one guy we don't have to worry about, Dave, is Jimmy Butler, because Jimmy, after those finals ended, Jimmy never stopped. He's working out right now.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a fucking player right there. Now, Danny Green, or as he's known in LA, Danny Red, because he can't hit a fucking shot.
Damn.
Now he needs to shut his mouth. Okay. He's not someone who LA fans respect. He's not someone who they want to hear from. They want to hear from guys who actually matter in the league, guys who show up. Yeah. And that's not him. So his comments go noted, but ignored in my mind. I don't give them any weight. I give them no value. I think that he's someone who is just putting out some words so that way the NBA Players Association has made their view public, and they will rumor that, hey, if you want to bring us back in December, have fun with, G League caliber players, because we're not playing. See, Eric's with me. Last guy I want to hear from. No show in the playoffs. Nobody wants to hear from Danny Green. Like he's a streaky shooter who's been on fantastic teams his whole career. Now, there are other guys who have done that, and none of them are really beloved players either. So it's just kind of his role. I think the problem is the NBA wants to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to make their money. They want to be able to get the stars out on the court. They want to make sure the product looks good. The best way to do that is to make the players and the executives at TV stations, media networks happy. So in my mind, a Christmas with basketball is one of the best Christmases you can have. Those games are always baller, and by starting on the 22nd, you give a warm-up game basically. So okay, we can get things rolling a little bit. They would have had like a couple weeks to get in shape, and then they'll have a warm-up game, which will be the first game of the season, which is fine. That's fine.
The thing that I think of though,
prime time, baby,
is so like the teams like the Bulls, the Knicks, the Warriors, like the teams that weren't in the bubble. I don't have a problem with this because they haven't what I'm going to bring up because they've had workouts, but like what I'm going to bring up, they're not going to be included in this because they haven't been playing games since Rudy Gobert contracted COVID. But like for those bubble teams and mainly like the Heat and the Lakers, and like you start with the Heat and Lakers and then go back through the teams that were still playing. I wonder how many, like you can say, oh, well, I'm playing basketball. I love it. There will be some people like that, but burnout is a thing in no matter what you are. Like burnout, not Daniel House, but burnout is a thing to where I wonder how many of these guys is like, for example, the ones that were late, is 2 months enough off to where it's like, you want to be able to go see your family, spend time with them because you've been away from them. Now you're going to be away from them again. You don't get that. Some people might have the mindset of like, well, you know what? That's the job. But will there be other guys that are like either I didn't get to spend enough time with my family. They start to get burnt out with it because it's like, no matter what you do, you need to take breaks from things. And my only worry is the amount of break for the later teams going to be enough? Or is it like Danny Green says, where like the players that were playing late go, you know what, I can take off the first month of the season. It ain't going to hurt us. And I'll come back after that. Like you said, it remains to be seen. We'll have to see if it's a bluff or it's not. But like, that's what I think. Players being like, well, I just got off, man. Like I want at least a little time off before I have to go back to work.
See, here's the dumb thing, though. It sure looked like a game or two mattered a whole fucking lot in the Western Conference to get into the playoffs. Did it not? Now, if you're a player on one of those teams who is fighting for a slot in the playoffs, can you afford to take off a month's worth of time and still expect your team to be in the playoff picture? Now, that's a big fucking question. A lot of people we look at the contract situation going into next year, and there are a lot of people who are free agents. I think it was like a really dumb percentage, like 60-some percent, 50-some percent.
I'm more so looking at like the Lakers, the Heat, the Celtics, the Nuggets. Like the Suns, they had more time off than those teams because like they were done when the regular season had ended. So were the Grizzlies. So like with those teams, I don't expect a lot of guys to be like you could say, well, Ricky, what, it's an extra month? Like, what could that mean? You may be right. Some of those guys may say, I want a little bit more time too. But like, especially for the finals teams, 2 months, maybe a month and a half, that's all you got. And it's like, some people might be okay with that on those teams, but there might be other guys that are like, come on, I want a little bit of a break. Like, I want to be able to, like, to me, it's more of the spend time with your family, like, and that side of it, not the side of like, I want to sit on the couch and watch TV. No, it's not like that.
Let me just put it this way, and this is totally me just projecting. We've people who are home have now spent more time with their family perhaps than they ever have before.
Yeah, but NBA players
are acclimated. No, that's what NBA players are acclimated to be on the road. That is their jam. So having a 2-month period where you're home every day with your family, I'm not saying it's a choice, but I am saying that the idea of being back on the road again might not be the worst thing in the world for a lot of these guys.
It's funny that you bring that up because, yet again, he is a younger guy. Josh Hart put out a tweet, Soapy showed it to me, that was basically like, man, we need to go back to playing basketball. My girlfriend's giving me shit to do, and it's a to-do list on the fridge. So, I mean, there may be guys like that, but like, to me, I look at it and go,
goose egg valid.
Will there be an effect on this season because of a shortened off season? That's the effect that I take in and what I think about. Because obviously there's a reason why we have off seasons in sports. But Dave,